Why does every modern movie or TV show try to shove a political message down our throats? And why didn't it bother us before? Because certainly social issues or political issues were always raised in movies or art. Like, art is truth to power. We had it in movies, in TV shows, even in comics. But it seems to get dumber now. Why is that? In this video, I'm gonna compare two scenes, one from She-Hulk and the other one from 12 Angry Men. Now I know, that is not a fair fight. One is one of the greatest movies of all time and the other one is, well, She-Hulk. Taste it there. Num, 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 eat it up. But this is not about overall artistic achievement. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Afterwards, I will even try to give you my attempt of an explanation why movies are getting dumber and dumber by the minute. So stick around for that. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I want to build a community of people who are really invested in good old acting and storytelling and who want to share their opinions. I love the comment section. Let's go. She-Hulk. Pretty much famous for being pretty stupid, but let's hear it again.
I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult or might just literally get murdered. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you. So all of this just feels like projecting a lot of shit onto me.
See?
No, I'm doing this.
What the fuck is this situation? So we got her being a new Hulk, and she explains what keeping a grip on her emotion is like to Bruce Banner. I mean, this is talked about, but Bruce Banner, who was hunted by the whole world, by the military, who was taken captive multiple times, who saw close people to him die, who was captured and actually held on a foreign planet as a gladiator for 2 years, and he had to go through this whole business of controlling himself so he could merge the Hulk and himself, so he could actually be sentient when he's in the Hulk form. And now she comes along, she just does it. So the show is not about her learning to come to terms with the Hulk persona. No, she is perfect from the get-go. This is unironically shown as an outburst of flaming anger or like righteousness. She is portrayed to be right, and when she goes into Hulk, you think, okay, they think she's in control, but of course she's not in control. But then she was in control. She said, no, I'm doing, like, no problems here. Like, we have a protagonist who has no problems at all. And they unironically say that she is, like, just because she's a woman who might be catcalled on the street is in suffering comparable in any way to a Bruce Banner. Who actually thinks this is okay? It's narcissism. I am so victimized that even Bruce Banner has nothing on me.
Bruce Banner
ain't got shit on me!
And now we see her monologuing about her being in the right. So there is a person who states that she is in the right, and everything she says is not questioned by anybody. So now it's about 12 Angry Men. This is a fantastic movie that takes place in a jury room. They have to decide whether a teenage boy or young adult boy is guilty of murdering his father or not. And they sway from almost everybody thinking that he's guilty to almost everybody thinking that he is not guilty, except for this guy. He's kind of the antagonist. They had a long discussion, and he was always thinking that he's in the right. And he is ready to state his conviction with every single thing, even though it might not be the hill he wants to die on, but he never takes a step down. He's always certain. They have to have a unanimous vote, so everybody has to say the same thing, guilty or not guilty. And he's alone now.
Well, what do you want? I say he's guilty.
We want to hear your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have as much time as it takes.
Now already we see a different kind of composure by the good guy here. They let him talk.
Every single thing that took place in that courtroom, but I mean everything, says he's guilty. What do you think? I'm an idiot or something?
Why don't you take that stuff about the old man? The old man who lived there and heard everything. The old man saw him right there on the stairs. And the movies.
There's a phony deal if I ever heard one.
This business with the glasses? How do you know she didn't have them on? This woman testified in open court.
I'm telling you, I've got all the facts here. Here.
There we see the real motivation. He has his own son and they're separated. At one time, he said it earlier, he's like, you work your heart out. They fought and he hit him. And so you see this guy, he's clinging with his fingernails at what he thinks reality is, that this boy must be guilty and he can't let go, even though all the evidence that he's now referring to, the cinema, the thing, the boom, the bam, not reliable evidence. And he's restating it because he needs this story, his narrative to be true.
You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts. You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Now that is a sentence that rings with a certain modernity here. I am entitled to my opinion. Entitlement. That is something that used to be the bad guy. Today, with the tirade She-Hulk gave us, she is the good guy. Now that is something that you need to let freaking sink in. We used to know that these guys, they are the bad guys who are entitled to their opinion. And nowadays it's, you don't know my truth. And they're the good guys all of a sudden. It's freaking narcissism. This guy is a narcissist, but we have empathy for him because we know he's the bad guy. But when it's portrayed as the good guy, I don't have empathy with She-Hulk. I could have empathy with She-Hulk if she wasn't being portrayed as the good guy hero who already knows all the stuff.
Rotten kids, you work your life out.
No. Not guilty.
And there you have it. Now we have empathy, even though he is the bad guy, and he is the bad guy, and he's an idiot. And now, the thing is, I can even say some people have it harder than him, but that doesn't matter now, because he redeems himself by letting go of his vision of reality, of his facade, and the movie resolves, and they all vote not guilty. He needs to let go of his identity. This is the hardest thing you can do. And this is why it's masterful storytelling, because storytelling is transformation of identity. He thinks he is the good, righteous, and victimized dad, and now he knows that he actually isn't. That is strong messaging. And now we see, like, this is the narcissist, and he had to let go of his narcissism to enter the next phase, which is actually getting out of that jury room. So he needed to transform. And She-Hulk does not need to transform. And she is the narcissist, and she tirades, and she is portrayed as in the right. Like, what the hell is going on with movies nowadays? They're not completely comparable, these scenes. But I think you get the idea. Narcissism, entitlement, berating others, having these epic speeches and tirades is portrayed as being in the right. At that time, here, we knew better. Now, how did we get from this to that? I have a little attempt of trying to explain, which is of course just a little snippet in a multivariable, multifaceted problem. First, my personal experience as an actor when I was in acting school 13 years ago or over 13 years ago. We were taught from the get-go that we need to be outraged. As an artist, you need to have a stance. You need to stand for something. You need to stand up. You need to go on the streets. Basically, you need to be activists. I remember distinctly my mentor, he's over 70, or he was over 70 at that time. He's now even over 80. He used to say, you need to be outraged about things. He lived through the 60s and 70s. Like, art was always a little bit subversive and stuff and very political. And I get the sentiment, but this is really not the case. You don't need to have a stance on everything, because if you do, especially as an artist, you're basically always guaranteed to have a poor stance. Being outraged about everything always leads to stupid outrage, mostly. And we see that nowadays. That is now the second part of not only my personal experience, but why I think that this outrage is more and more directed at the wrong things, or in the wrong way. Now, there's a study that came out. It's from 2018. It's about people's judgment and how they get more and more sensitive towards a thing the less it is shown in a system. That's a complicated way of saying. Participants were shown blue and purple dots. At first, when there's always blue dots, the people are good at identifying blue dots because you can see it. They're blue or purple. And the less they introduced or showed blue dots, the more they saw blue dots even when they were purple. Same thing with aggression. They showed faces that had varying degrees of aggression. You can see them here. It's rather subtle, but you can see it. It's of course not that easy, but they showed less and less aggressive faces, and the people started to find faces aggressive that they previously didn't find aggressive. Here's the abstract. This prevalence-induced concept change occurred even when participants were forewarned about it. It's pretty robust. They warned the participants, guys, don't make that mistake. This whole experiment is about this. So they told them, and they still had it wrong. And then when they were instructed and paid to resist it, so they were paid to resist it, don't do this and we will give you money, and they still did it. So it's really in us.
In effect, what we've got is a kind of built-in, apparently neurological relativism that as something becomes rare, finds it where it isn't. Now, you can imagine that there are all kinds of reasons that your neurobiology would have such a feature. You're searching for berries, right? The berries you will find first are going to be the ones that are obvious and right in front of your face. As those get depleted because you've picked all the good ones, you have to become increasingly sensitive. So diminishing returns causes your perception to need to get more sensitive. You need to effectively become visually berry paranoid in order to spot the one that's halfway hidden by the leaf. Okay, so you can imagine that this could result in you collecting more berries per hour, a kind of increase in your sensitivity. Your sensitivity goes up, which means you keep finding the ones that are harder and harder to find. And then eventually you're seeing phantom berries where they aren't. You're just seeing a shadow or a dark space in the thing, and you're reaching in and you're getting nailed by a thorn.
That leading to the conclusion, social problems may seem intractable in part because reductions in their prevalence lead to people to see more of them. Meaning, you can have less and less gender discrimination or racism in the world, which we certainly have from where we started. It's way, way, way better. Not that it's all gone, okay, but it's way, way, way better. We see it more and more in things where it's not there.
You're seeing phantom berries where they aren't. You're just seeing a shadow or a dark space in the thing, and you're reaching in and you're getting nailed by a thorn, right? The point is that calculation will hit you too. And it'll be like, I keep thinking I'm going to get something and there's no reward. I keep thinking I'm going to get it, no reward, right?
But there's physical feedback with regard to visually berry paranoia.
Right.
And there's not inherently any actual physical feedback when it's claims that are entirely socially constructed around, I am sure that he said that to me because he's racist.
Right.
This is the problem. You know, okay, I was wrong. I need to recalibrate my perception. But with things like racism, or like certain statements like, is this guy misogynistic right now or not? We have no feedback because when he says, no, I'm not, you don't have to believe him. You can always think you're right. And it goes on and on and on. So the less racism or less misogyny we have in our culture, the more it actually will be detected where it is actually not. This is just my 2 cents to the whole situation, a bit backed by science, so it's not just my opinion, it's not just art or artistic things that I'm talking about, but I think it's undeniable that art, or movies especially, that they're getting worse and worse. And I think it's because people want to have something to have this just fight, this just cause, and it's just not there. Not to the extent that they portray it to be, at least. It's not like there's no misogyny in the world. Of course you have distinct problems as women and stuff, but to pretend that being catcalled is worse than being hunted by the whole nation, having all your friends taken away and being stranded on a different planet, that is insane. And we actually had this understanding before. And this was at a time, 12 Angry Men, that was, I think, objectively worse politically, or at least like socially, with regards to racism, emancipation of women. Obviously, we have it better now, but we complain more.
You know, there's that old expression that hard times make hard men make easy times make soft men make hard times.
So I think we're in the period, in the phase now, where we're creating a pretty bad time. We will need to get hard again. We will need to get hard again. Get hard again. These are just my 2 cents. I'd love to hear yours. See you in the next one.